morning, everyone. We are recording. We have a ton of tickers, 130 so far. I'm pretty sure we'll get a few here live in the chat room. Okay, so first things first, record week for all indices. I think we haven't had that good a week since September or October of 2020. So is this is this it? I don't know. We'll take it one line at a time. But first, let's look back a little bit. So what we're looking at is the weekly charts for all the indices. We have upper left, we have the SPY, and then we have the NASDAQ, Dow, and the small caps. For the longest time, if you've been with me, we've been looking at this guy, how it consolidated for about a year, faked us out, and then crashed. The problem now is it's trying to cut back into the place from which it crashed, or the neckline. I call it the accident scene. So right around here, that's the place they were holding, and then they lost it. So now whatever they were holding becomes a problem on the way back. So whatever enthusiasm we have right now, we have to acknowledge that going back up from the bottom is easy. Getting through the problem area is not. Shouldn't be. I hope not. Because if it is, then we are repeating the same mistake we did in 2020. And then what we'll do is we'll rally hard and we crash hard. So more constructive would be to just meander up and down higher. Okay, so were we blind to this? Let me check the lines. And this was somewhere around this bounce, I'm going to say in January. I drew this, or up here actually. I drew the fact that we might have a fade and we might fall to here. Well, guess what? We almost fell to here. So the downside scenario was visible to us. We were just trying to see what they wanted to do. So now my comments are, again, from the level perspective, like I just said, going back into the places we lost, it shouldn't be easy. We should find sellers. In fact, if you look at these yellow lines, this is to show behavior, not actual lines. So they're selling rallies is what I'm saying. That arrow, we had a rally, it sold. We're having a rally. We have to see if they're going to sell it or not. So I am optimistic, but not blind. So I have to respect the price action. Okay, this is all-time high, people. Okay, so we are 7% of an all-time high. We just rallied 7%. You see what I'm saying? So people who are expecting doom and gloom should realize that, and I'm hoping they get caught short. So people, most times people lose their perspective, and they get comfortable doing one thing. They do it, and then it stops working, and they don't realize it stopped working, and they continue doing it, and they fight it. That happened to the bulls on the way down. It could happen to the bears on the way up. We are looking at everything in order to see that. I call this, somebody asked me in the sheet, when I sent out the sheet, give me your ticker, somebody said, what is upticks mode? What is downticks mode? Upticks mode was a caution for the bulls on the way down. Don't trust the rallies. Here. So this is a rally. Don't trust it. Don't trust it until you get out of this mode. Right now, they're selling rips, selling pops. I have to respect that. This is a weekly chart. And then they said, how does that work on lower time frame? Exactly the same way. If I'm watching 1 second chart or 1 month chart, it's exactly the same way. So if you're interested in the fast trades, join me during the day and I'll show you how it works on a low time frame. I'll show you with PayPal later. You'll see that. So that is important. Who's in charge of the price action? So maybe the bears won't realize that they are buying the dip again. We will see on a lower time frame. That's what happened last week. Okay, so let's get to that and see if we can show it to you. This is a 5-minute chart. So on a 5-minute chart, they were buying the dips all day. So if we go to a 15-minute chart, you can see it. The higher lows, higher highs. That's how they ascend. Stint down, consolidate, fight for a base, establish a base, and rally back up. All right. All right, the list today is massive. Again, we have 130 tickers. They're alphabetically sorted. So if you want to skip through to your tickers, you can. I will provide the sheet and a link so you can refer to it later. Somebody's asking, no idea in the chat room. Okay. Back to the charts. Let's go to the first ticker, which is Apple, the king of charts. No, it's just important. It sets the mood for everybody. So we have had a great rally. I am leery at chasing rallies this big. For example, Neo, Baba, all these guys have had 50% rallies, even though they're still dirt cheap, and I like them. I want to hold them for the long term. If I'm starting a new position now, I feel like an idiot. Luckily, we sent out a note about getting long a few things, including Neo, the day before it popped. The next day, it's up 40%. If I didn't book up 40%, actually, if you did options, you were probably up 2,000%, somebody reported. So I don't know what to tell you. I like it, but I don't love it that much. So I would have booked a 2,000% win like instantly. I am still holding the SoFi calls. I did trim a little bit because I wanted to hold it for the long term, and I have time on the clock. Therefore, I'm patient with that. But of course, everybody's different. Everybody's time frames are different, and I'm trying to find, somebody's asking a question. Where is my window? I bought a new monitor. It's huge. I can't find, oh, there it is. I can't find my stuff on it. So somebody's asking, where are we meeting? All right, Ned, I'll help you out. Sorry, folks. Somebody's stranded somewhere trying to get to us. All right, there we go. Hopefully they're there. So Apple is one of those. So if you look at it, it's running back into a prior fail. In fact, this was a pretty big fail right there, 165 rounding, and a failed zone. Exciting to chase it, but I have to realize that. So it all depends on what am I trying to do. I would be comfortable buying dips. In other words, if it falls back to 160, I would be comfortable selling a put spread on that time. If I absolutely must pursue these companies, I would rather execute trades that don't require rallies, which are credit put spreads or selling puts to own shares. At least. If not, then I would do debit call spreads, because buying single calls are still expensive. The VIX is still high. We still have all the risks we had before. Nothing has changed. So I have to be realistic with that. All right, so Airbnb, I remember talking about it, and here are my lines, and it's kind of at my lines. It's actually two stints, remember? Off the bottom, entry point here, short-term trade, fast traders, and dangerous, stop out fast. It played out, this first arrow to here, and then I said, let's repeat it. And I don't know if I want to repeat it some more. Because if I zoom out, it's kind of long extended, and it's attacking this stuff. One thing to bounce off of support that you must absolutely hold. Another thing altogether to try and do this. Remember this? It did it once and then it collapsed. I'm not too comfortable with this. If I had longs, I would have booked them, at least locked them somehow. Somebody asked me how to do that. You can reach out to me. So if I bought a call, this answer is for everybody on any ticker ever. If I buy a call, I get lucky or I'm good and the price goes in my way. For example, if I bought a 148 or 150 call when stock was here and it did this, that 150 call is extremely profitable. And I mean extremely. Or if I bought shares, I have a lot of profits on my hands. So I can lock my profits. If I bought a call, I can sell a call against it. Same time frame, much higher, collect more than what I paid. Therefore, I would own an asset for which I was paid to enter. So my debit call spread is actually a credit into my pocket, so I cannot lose. So that's the kind of a strategy you can, quote, lock your profits. And if you're good, you can change the time and make it into a diagonal, but that's a longer conversation. I'm glad to have it, but not today. Okay, Accenture. This looks hideous. The worst idea on the planet is to do this. Palantir did this with stupid GME, and it ruined the stock for months. This blows all the buyers out of the water. So now you cannot have a trigger until they go to here, which is horrendous. Instead of doing this, had they not done this, this would have been a trigger to get to here under normal circumstances. But instead, they triggered it, they filled it, and they crashed right back down the way they were. Okay. Hey, John, don't mute me, please. Find your own button to mute yourself. That would be great. Okay, again. John, can you stop muting me, please? Just mute yourself. Thank you. Okay. So if I was to consider taking a long, I would not buy calls, even though it can repeat this super spike. I would rather, again, bank on support, which is, here's why. Actually, I forgot to mention this. So we just had an extremely tough test, So now we know we have support that must hold. That February 24th still hasn't been breached, really. So I can bank against it. So I can assume that it's going to hold for now. I mean, unless we have a new problem in the world, this is it. We know of all the problems. We know the Fed is an enemy. We know that there is fighting in Ukraine. So unless we actually go to war with another country, I would rather bet on support. How do I do that? I don't buy stuff. I sell stuff against it. So I sell a credit put spread, bull put spread. I would sell a put to own shares in stocks I want. Can somebody help out John for me, please, in the chat room? Thanks. So the idea is to not hope there would come a rally in order for me to profit. At least not all of it. I mean, it's okay to buy calls. I do own calls as I've disclosed them, but I would rather sell puts or put spreads. All right, John, can you refresh your window or change? It's something on your end because everybody else can hear me. So if you refresh or change the browser or something, or maybe unmute your speakers. I don't know how to help you from here. Okay. ADS. I don't remember. Oh, Alliance Data. All right. So a lot of, you see that orange line right here? It is the start of a heavy volume area above for this period of time. So if you come up into an area that has a lot of volume, it tends to find resistance because it's an active area. In addition, remember earlier I said it's an accident scene? Look at this. They held this floor so hard and then they collapsed and now they're back at it. It shouldn't be easy to take it back out. So if they fade a little bit and come back and take it out, I would feel better about it. But this should not be easy. So even if they take this level out, they're facing the same problem here too. So coming back to here is easier than going through here. It's the same thing for a lot of tickers today. We're going to talk. So that was stupid of me telling John what to do when he's telling me he can't hear me. Nick, come on. How dumb is that? All right, so laughing at myself. Affirm the pain, right? Good company, great business. I get spammed by them almost every day. And this is a hold for the long term. If somebody got assigned in the 30s, 40s, I would not have gotten out. I would not have bought the putback. I would have taken the shares because I believe in the company idea, market, addressable market, what they're doing, but it doesn't show on paper. If you look on paper, it doesn't look that good. Wall Street doesn't have any appetite for growth with spending. The blue is growth and the orange is spending. It's like what they had with Uber in 2019, I think 2019 or 2018. Like they hated it. They sold it to $16 or $18. Thank you, because I went long in size. But it's like they put something in their mind on Wall Street and they hate it even though it doesn't make sense. So here, it already filled the short-term upside opportunity we have. So remember my ABCs? Okay, so the C is close, losers. So if I was holding a bag with this company, a firm, and this rally got me even, I should take it off or change it, fix it, trim it, do something. If I don't do anything, I'm not practicing my ABCs. But Nick, what if it goes to 56? So be it. What if it does? If you were all broken up and hated life because it was down in 32 or 28, and now you get a gift. I did it with JD. I had a small position in JD, and it went to you know what. And then one day JD pops 40% the same day Baba does. I was like, thank you. I got out. It ran above where I got out. I don't mind. I have a lifetime of trading. At least I didn't lose. Okay, so remember the downticks mode I mentioned earlier, and I said I'll prove it with PayPal? I guess I'll prove it with Affirm. Look at it. They're selling rallies. This is not a rally, thank God. This is a consolidation sideways. They did it here a little bit, and then they had that snafu with the earnings and Bullard. So let's see if they can finally snap out of it. So what am I looking for? Them breaking the machine code of selling rallies. This is how you break it. You swim sideways to get out of this stupid riptide. And then you start building one. I don't know if they can, but at least start working on one. And these are not, I'm not like saying trying to match up lines. No, this is behavior. I'm looking for behavior. So fast there. I'm looking for behavior. I don't want to show anybody like, hey, that's what's happening. No, I'm looking for it. Okay. AG, is this Silver Majestic something? Yes. Let's see. John, you set? All right. This looks pretty promising. The stock, I do remember drawing these last night. I drew these last night. So when you send me the 130 tickers, I do the homework last night, so I don't have to draw these now, so the video will be much faster. So I'm doubling my workload so we can blow through these. It just came into a prior fail. I would rather it fail a little bit, and if I'm not long, this is where I call it BDBR. Buy the dip if it happens to do this. Where somewhere in here, if you get comfortable, get long somehow. Buy shares, buy call spreads, sell put spreads into support, and then wait for the rally and wait for the breakout. So you either buy the dip or you buy the rip. You wait for the breakout to actually start to chase it. That's the momentum trader. Buy high, sell higher. I like the buy the dip part because I know how to do it myself, and I don't mind seeing a little bit of red in the meantime. So that is good setup. Just be patient. All right. So ALU, I believe that is, I think it's ALU. This one. I don't know why it went to that one. Okay. So 1 week. This one's for you, the Australian friends. We had a whole bunch of buy the dip opportunities. They all failed. So now they all become resistance opportunities. But just like the US markets, it fell into support and bounced. So now you must hold that support. Otherwise, you come down to 24, where you would buy the dip opportunity. So if I want to put it there just in case, if it comes down to here somewhere, you get long. So this is where I would put an alert, but I don't trade this. But if you do, you should put an alert somewhere here to start looking. And resistance zone above. Simple. Whoops. AMD. Let's go to 120. All right, so AMD was drawing an inverse head and shoulders, which is kind of a bullish thing. So what I tell you is if it breaks through last week's low or the most recent fail, I think March 16th, then it could burst higher. But you have to be cognizant of the fact that it's running into big prior fails before. So you see one large fail, and another large fail. But we also have higher lows. So they're going to come fighting. So be careful with your enthusiasm. I saw a lot of puts into the QQQ. I'm hoping it's the hedge stocks. So the idea is if there was a lot of puts in the Qs, so maybe somebody took a lot of positions in tech stocks, and by somebody, I mean like BlackRock or something, and then they hedge by buying puts in the index or the ETF. That is true. Nvidia had the highest call activity all week. Big request. If you send Excel file in the morning, we can write on it what you are talking about now. I don't know what that means, Mark. You mean, do you want me to share a list like this? Here you go. You must be new. And this list is your friend. So there you go. So we have a good company, decent valuation, much cheaper than Nvidia, excellent management. I just bought their first machine. I've never had an AMD brain, and I recently bought a Ryzen 9 machine, which is the top end. I maybe like it, maybe don't. I mean, it performs very well, but I'm finding little quirks that I didn't have with Intel. Maybe I will just get used to them. I would not recommend it, but it is. The jury's out. I've still had it. Only had it 2 weeks. Stock wise, I'm gonna go to 30. It depends on your perspective. If it's for the long term, in your long, I wouldn't add. If you're looking to add, I would sell a put to buy shares or sell a put spread to create income from it. If I wanted to chase it, the breach of this is a trigger to get me to 120 or 126. Depends on where they want to start selling it. Just don't be overzealous. Like, okay, we just rallied. I almost cussed. 15%. Just be aware of what's going to go on this week. By the way, I forgot to mention, yay, happy, it is Fed Palooza week. In case you didn't know, the Fed heads are not allowed to speak going into their meetings, but for some reason, they're all about to have blowout diarrhea of the mouth all week. Let's see. I counted 15 speeches this week from the Fed. We have Powell twice, Monday and Wednesday. A whole bunch of people speaking twice too. Why the fudge are they talking? What? Why are they? They just had an event. Why have both? Why have an official event and then have 15 speeches right after the event? You just told us everything you need to tell us, right? But no, Powell has to speak twice, and a whole bunch of them speak twice. It's just ridiculous. I don't get it. I must be like, anyway, I don't know what this company is. Microcap. Beware of losing this low, because that will take you much lower. And this looks like a lot of resistance. So you're stuck in the middle of a tight range. Amazon had been stuck in a tight range, but now I would fade it. So if you want to play the CNBC game, fade it or trade it, which is ridiculous. I don't know what they mean. So what I mean is it's going into a prior fail. So I would rather buy the dip into 30-40 than chase it without a breakout. So BDBR, remember, buy the dip somewhere here by selling a put spread. Like if we had a down day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, one of those days, we drop. I would sell a put spread comfortably. This is a strong consolidation zone. Or chase it above 32.80 if you're a trader. So let's zoom out a little bit to 2 hours and take out the lines so we'd have clarity. So you can see, let me show you. Remember I told you the bears are in charge. They're selling rips, selling rips, selling rips, selling rips. This is a rip. They sold it. This is a rip. Are they going to sell it? I don't know. That is a lot of resistance. This is, if you tell me this company is, if you show me this chart without the name of the company, I would tell you, avoid it. There's a lot of resistance, but guess what? It's through 3,400. So if you're an active trader, you can actually scalp it in and out. Join us, we'll trade it. Fundamentally, for the long term, it's amazing. No. So new person, good question. They're asking, last week was quadruple witching week, which means a whole bunch of things expire at the same time, which is the same thing that happens every week, only on a lower level. It's nothing special about it. The question is, since we're getting new open interest, but we get new open interest all the time. We get OpX, which is options expiration, 3 times a week by the indices and ETFs. I don't put much. I mean, Wall Street people would like you to believe that they mean something. Markets more prone to volatility. Okay, let me ask you this. How much more volatility do you want than VIX at 30? Everything else is secondary to that. You know, when people worry about, oh, it's OpX week, that's because they're talking about OpX week versus a 17 VIX. But the VIX is already double what it should be, or just about. So who cares? Volatility is already up through the roof. We have World War talk. Yeah, volatility is up there. It's not an issue. So this one has gotten away from me. If I'm not long, I wouldn't touch it here. It does have a breakout from here, which could have a lot of upside. But I'm not comfortable bailing these people out. So do your homework and find out if it's rallying on actual improved fundamentals or just a meme of whatever this thing does. I'm going to guess it's material. Natural gas. Okay, great. But technically, there's a breakout here that has a target here. There's a breakout here that has a target here. There's a breakout here that has a target up there. So where are you at? I can tell you that these are big fails, 30.5. Avid. There was a question on Avid. I can't remember. I don't think I understood. Do you want to ask it if you're in here about Avid? This is not a starting point for me. It is a breakout potential if you take out prior fails. But boy, that is choppy. So it's a micro cap. Be careful what you're doing there. Tell me what was your question if you remember. If it's a micro cap and it's options, I wouldn't touch it with options. I'm surprised it would have options, so be careful. I can't remember what the question was on Avid. Avid, there we go. Selling calls. Okay, now I remember. You mentioned in your question, whoever submitted Avid, selling calls, selling puts. I would never sell calls without having shares. So selling naked calls, absolute no, especially in a micro cap. These are manipulated stocks. Whew. You can go broke doing that. But market makers do it. We're not market makers. We don't have 16 billion in our account that we can withstand and bury a position that goes against it. No way on the planet. Well, it depends on the account size, yeah. All right, Astrazeneca. This bunch is prone to headlines any day, every day. So don't short it. But if you ask me to trade this stock right here, I would buy a put spread. But I wouldn't, because it's a freaking headline stock. It's going into prior fails. Shorter term, it has bearish patterns that could bring it back down to 61. I would rather sell a put spread or buy the dip if I wanted to own shares. It's just too high for my taste. But Nick, it could go to the moon. Yes, but if you're asking me to take my mother's money, who's 90, and put it in an investment, this would not be it. I would rather give it to something that's already in the toilet that is of quality. Why would I chase something like this that has a headline risk? That doesn't fit my risk profile. If you're a momentum trader to buy here to go up to the moon, yeah, fine. Why wouldn't you wait for the breakout? You could miss it? Okay. I'm okay missing stuff. There's like 2,000 stocks I can trade. Baba, I've been saying excellent company. You just have to be able to live with the spirit of the threat from China. So, like NEO, great recovery. On paper, not a great starting point. It's going back into a prior ledge. Look how hard they fought over it and they lost it. Now they're back into it and it just rallied 50%. Tough call short term. 52%. Tough call short term. Long-term investment, I don't mind it. So it took every bearish arrow we drew and filled it. So you could have more room to 120. So if I'm long, I can stay long, but I should lock profits. If I'm looking to get long, I mean, I should just be aware that it just rallied 50%. So it could have a couple of bad days. NEO earnings tomorrow, even better. Yeah. So if somebody didn't book their NEO, I don't know what to say. It's not my style. All right. BBY. So that's Best Buy. I'm a techie and I haven't set foot in a Best Buy in, I take that back, last year I went there because I needed after hours to buy a SIM card, a particular SIM card, and I called around. They were the only ones that had it, but it was $2. So that's it. This is it. The good base kind of worked. They went through it, but that was a flash crash for the whole market. It was war. That's fine. Better base worked awesome. So sell put spreads in the better base. Sell puts if you love the shares. You instead of buying all upside. This looks tough. BD Becton bounced hard, great, but you cannot lose it now. You lose this one, you're going to 245, if not 240. I can almost guarantee it. So you cannot lose the bounce you had at 254. And you're running into a lot of resistance. So stuck. I would do an iron condor on this one if it were liquid. I doubt it is, but I would not chase it with calls here. If I have calls, maybe I don't need to. If I have shares, I don't need to leave them. Do they pay? Not much dividend. Okay, so that's the trading comments on that. Bosch Health Companies. I am not aware of this company. This is a target from this green thing. I didn't draw it. Doesn't automatically draw an harmonic. This is a daily chart. What is this? So on a weekly chart, it's mid-range. So you see you have a lot of support below and lower highs. And trying to hold the floor. So maybe they popped to 28. But know that 26 and higher is going to be difficult. Let's go back to daily. Who is this? Dutch Brothers Coffee, right? Or chocolate. Not an obvious entry point. Prior fail. If you want shorter term, yeah, definitely not an obvious entry point. Where? Maybe 55 or 54. These two. Is the, yeah, P&L is okay. Okay. That's not the same Bosch contact, is it? I thought Bosch contact was Bosch and Lomb. All right. BSX, not an obvious point of entry. I probably, last week, I don't remember what I said on it. I know somebody requested. But this is a prior fail. Look at that candle. Is this a daily? No, hour. The last hour of the day, this candle shows indecision. So if it drops back down to 43, I would start looking for longs. Because according to this pattern, is the drop to 43 is likely. Reason to get long to try to bust out of here. But check this out. I mean, I would be out at 45. That is a lot of resistance. Short term. CCJ, it's very active in the options world. I don't know what's going on. I have to double check what it was. Every time I go look at something, it comes up active. Options. Look for it here and help me find it. I thought I did. There it is here. Highest put volume change, that's on Friday. It's one of them. Highest put premium change. Anyway. CCJ, highest volume leaps, highest volume cheap leads, so it's very active. So be careful, which means is your opponent knows what they're doing. So don't feel too comfortable. That's what I'm saying. CCJ going into prior resistance. Now, if you can take that out, you're going to fly. I would expect, you know, see how it dipped? That's that same similar red pattern that brought it down to its T1 and T2. So the internals are topping off, lower highs. The internals, this is just simple RSI stuff, nothing. A relative strength index that looks at the stock from the inside, like relative to itself. So there's a battle going on. Some sort of a top versus incredibly strong higher lows. So be careful. What is CCJ? Uranium. Yeah, don't short it. But if you want to get long, know that this is a failure zone until it's not. And when it's not, it's an explosive zone higher. Is this a long-term chart? Ooh, yeah, okay. So if you take that out, this is a monthly chart that goes back to 2000. If you take 2850 with force, you could burst. And the machines won't have any recent fails. So yeah, they have this whole thing. But, you know, watch it. And if you can trade it fast, buy the breakout. Chewy, I like the company. I liked it on the way down. I like the support. I would rather sell puts on dips. So if this week we get weaknesses, I would rather get long on it on weaknesses. How weak could it go? It could, let's say it gives back half the rally it had this week. So a drop to 40 would be enticing. How much of a rally was this? 25%. It's very tough to buy a rally after it just happened 25% going into a prior fail. Now, if it takes this out, 48, now it's 44. Nick, you missed out on 10%. Yeah, but how fast are you? That's what I'm saying. If you don't mind seeing a 5% drop in your account, but 5% in a chart is huge in options calls. So you should know what calls to make. So if you don't mind taking heat down below, I would rather sell a put or a put spread and get assigned rather than buy a call and it dies. So buy the breakout to see if you can get to 54, or buy it and then assign yourself X percentage of loss. So I say, okay, if I risk 1,000, if I'm willing to lose 300, and then I should stop out. But that's a tricky part. Most people don't know how to do this. So be honest. Let's go out in time. So you can see who's in charge. They're selling rips, selling rips, selling rips, all of them. So this is a rip. Are they going to sell it? That's a daily chart. That's the question. The bears are in charge. There is no doubt about that part. There is no doubt. It's when will the bulls be able to swim out of this riptide? It's a descending pattern that's been going on for a while. P&L is awesome. I believe in the company long term. If I own shares, I'd stay. My champion, I'm saying this half jokingly. Did you know? So in the live room, on the worst day of the market when we were collapsing on 225, I think, did you know that the first stock that turned green was this one? So I made the joke in the room, quality surfaces, but it was a sign of risk appetite. Now, if the market is collapsing and they actually spend money to buy the, quote, worst stock on the market that was under $2, that means there's really, the risk appetite is there. It didn't go away. And they're just booking profits in other things. And this one has satisfied all the upside short-term targets, but I'm still long and I will stay long. Because it's either a $1 billion business or it's fake. That's my statement. When it fell to 2, I added. And it's either $1 billion or it's fake. And it's a $1 billion statement unless they're actually Theranos and cheating everybody. Or Enron. I don't think it is. So anyway, up here, it could drop to 2.9. So if I wanted to get long this one on a dip, hopefully a big one, I would get long. Above 2.8, 2.7, 2.9, it should have support if it falls back down there. So it's a good business to be in. We'll see. Clorox, I don't remember why it collapsed. I do remember somebody asking me, and I said, well, this is a boring company acting non-boring like. Fell into absolute support. So if somebody sold the put or bought shares here, kudos. I would stay in them. I don't know why I would want to chase it up. I mean, it's a boring business. I would rather, this looks like Baba. I would rather own Baba that can actually explode to 300, where this one, it shouldn't. It's a boring business, but it's a good company, and it does pay 3.5%. Coin, I had that discussion sidebar with a friend at the gym. Turns out there was a guy I fight with for a sport. He moved to Denver to pursue a Bitcoin career or crypto career, and he's now moving back here. He didn't quit, but he's just working remotely. And I shared my plan with him, and he had a very similar plan. So my plan I mentioned Bitcoin because Bitcoin causes this move in Coinbase. The bottom line is Coinbase is trying to establish footing, and it could lose it because of Bitcoin. That's the short story. It's a good company, excellent P&L, a lot of spending, but income is good. More people are trading Bitcoin, including myself, or crypto, including myself. And if Bitcoin loses 33,000, this one could be under 100 eventually. So it is, in my opinion, a sure thing to be trading crypto for the future. And I can guarantee you, everybody that does not want to deal with electronic currency will have to deal with it. Just like all the people that said, I will never buy anything online. 1,000% of them are, I am certain that all of them have broken that rule. They will all need to break the crypto rule. But guess what? It will take a long time. And the more skeptics, the better. Because that's the pile of new entrants that are going to be buying up and getting to learn things way late. Get to know things now. I will do a crypto course soon enough. I have shared many videos which are courses all by themselves. Go back and review those. My strategy is still the same, and it fits for coin. I like coin long term, but I'm afraid of the Bitcoin effect. If Bitcoin loses 33,000, give or take, this one could trigger this. Long side note, court. Not an obvious point of entry. It's a recent fail. It's a prior fail. Technically, okay, it could be broken out, but be careful what you're chasing. Costco, excellent company. I wouldn't touch it here. For a trade, I would buy the breakout for a trade. But personally, that's not my style because I'm busy all day. I can't babysit it. But these are momentum buyers that buy high, sell higher. If you're an investor buying it at an all-time high, I bet you can find something cheaper. Clorox, for crying out loud, has a better upside opportunity, or not to say less of a downside opportunity, obvious downside opportunity than this one, right? So this one is not an obvious upside opportunity. It is potentially a bad entry point. We'll see. Cost. Remember, things could fall through no fault of their own. Coupa went to the toilet, and on paper it looks great. But be careful, the business they're in is pretty competitive. And look, they're selling rips, and this is another rip. They fell off a cliff from earnings, but then now they had just fallen off a cliff before that, and now going into 105 is going to be difficult, plus or minus. But the P&L is not bad. But it is one of those big blue, big orange, growth with a lot of spending. Wall Street does not have appetite for that right now. Crowd, same comment on the Wall Street appetite. CrowdStrike. Is that a safety, right? Security? Cybersecurity. This is a lot of resistance above, but this is a big drop. So technically, I can argue that I want to be long, especially if they take this out. If the markets are higher, this one could get to 250. Right, I'll get to that in a second. So I wouldn't mind holding longs with tight stops or buying the dip to draw this. So I see this. I see it. Good base. So a credit put spread on dips would make sense. Sold put on dip to own shares makes sense. And buy call spreads. So Edward's asking about Costco. If I'm long shares, is this a good time to sell covered calls? I'm going to answer yes, but with a giant giant caveat. Okay. Hey Chris, you made it. 2 new people in here. They made it. I think Chris is one of the new people. So the caveat is, and it happened this week. I got messages this week because nobody expected this rally. I sold a call and I'm in trouble. Those words should never come out of your mouth if you're selling calls the proper way. Some people should never sell covered calls. Never. Covered calls, by the way, is when I own shares and I sell a call, which would put the potential of me having to sell my shares at that sold call. When I sell a covered call, it's never a potential losing situation. The worst case scenario is me being less profitable. So profits, but not as much as it would have had I not done it. It happened to me last week with Zim, Z-I-M. I bought a call. It exploded in my favor. I sold a call against it. It plowed through my call. So I kind of limited myself, but I did not have a loss. I had a potential, only profit potential. So yes, selling a covered call in Costco, Edward, is a good idea. Just make sure you run it by me to true it up. Like A, it's not a loss situation. It doesn't seem like it. And B, you can actually honor it. Some people say, I don't want to lose my shares, and they end up buying the call for a loss. That to me is, what are you doing? You just booked a loss so you don't book a profit. That's literally what you just did. You would have booked a loss so you don't book a profit. What? The logic there, I just don't get it. Yes, it is financial suicide to sell a naked call. Absolutely. Haha, Brad. That's a funny one. Coin has been trading with crypto. Yes. All right. CTSH. No, Cognizant. Okay, wow, that's an ugly ticker for Cognizant. Not an obvious point of entry because you've had 2 fails and this is the 3rd time I had it. Now, if they break above 93 or 92.5, boom, explosion higher. But that would be a trade, not an investment. Buy high, sell higher. The potential is with the bulls, but look. So buy the dip into 90 or 89 in order to swing back up, or chase it above it after it breaks out. Let me zoom out to a weekly and see where's that at. Monthly. I just want to see if that's an all-time high. Yeah. So tough. It's definitely not an investment idea. It is a trading idea. DAL. This is 120 airlines. So it fell from here to here. It is rallied back 50%. So as it approaches 39, it's going to find a lot of sellers, more so at 40. If I'm not long this one for the short term, I shouldn't get in right now. There's resistance everywhere. However, if I'm buying it for an investment, you should recognize a few things. A, they're in the line of fire of this war. Because airspace closures and airplane repossessions or whatever, they're at risk of it. They're already in shambles because of labor issues. They're already in shambles because they don't know how to run their business. That's true for decades. That's gotten better, but they're still idiots about it. So good stock to buy on extreme dips because people love it and it will rally back. Not an obvious entry point here. Maybe on a dip. Or sell a credit put spread to where you're comfortable with the support below, but you're not sure about the rally above. Maybe even Iron Condor. DraftKings, same exact comment. It fell from A to B, now it's back to the middle. Tough resistance. Look at that big candle. They're going to have to deal with it. And fell from here to here. I'm eyeballing half the distance. Why is that? I keep referring to that. It's machines. The machines look for the 50% Fibonacci ratio. 20 in this case. $20 is the 50. 20.01. So anyway, this is... I wouldn't short Delta, no. I wouldn't short stocks. I just said that we might have a super spike coming. And if people don't realize that the bears might be too comfortable shorting things. So if I were to short, quote short, somebody's asking me if I would short Delta. I would rather do an Iron Condor. So short it with a credit call spread. That is selling a call spread above current price at a low delta gives you odds of fading the action, not needing a drop, just don't. And then selling the opposite below it, so you're range bounding it. That's what I would do. I don't know why Chanos gets mentioned twice in here. Does anybody have as much money as Chanos? If you have as much money as Chanos, trade like Chanos. Otherwise, why are you following Chanos? I don't know why I need to see comments from Chanos. Okay. Chanos is a billionaire who trades and speaks his... okay, I appreciate it. But, a comment, I can't trade. DraftKings fell into support, lost support, and found footing, but it's still in the hands of the bears. So, regardless of who's doing what with it, here's the truth. It's in the hands of the sellers, so I should not trust the rallies until they stop this behavior. So you have lower highs, lower lows. It has not made a flat bottom yet. It made a pointy bottom that failed every time. Look, rally, sold to a lower low. Rally, sold to a lower low. Rally. Guess what's going to happen here? The bears are going to come out and say, we smacked you down already twice. So this is a broadening wedge that I'm looking at. And you see a very consistent top. So I'm going to put an alert to myself here. Daily wedge, short term. So this is a note to myself. If they take this recent fail, 25.3-ish, I'll check on it lower a little bit later, it could get to 32.34. Until then, I can't assume that this was a bottom, because this is where the market's bottomed, and this one chose to go lower. Good company long term. If I'm owning it for an investment, yes. Remember, Wall Street now hates opportunity for young companies that spend a lot, and this one spends a lot. So there's no risk appetite from Wall Street. That will change. They're idiots. They change their minds all the time. So this is like this. Look, lower low, lower low, lower low, and then crash. Lower low, lower low. You can't bank on this being a low. So I would, at worst, sell a put spread. And if you lose 15, you're going to 1250. What? Maybe even single digits. What? I'm just reading the chart, which is an improbable scenario, but it's there. So don't think it's not going to be there. All right, so here I said I cannot afford losing this line, else 12. Where did it go? It didn't get to 12, but this could be going to 12 because it's going into resistance and it's going to fail. And here's what could happen. They're going to find sellers and they come back to here. And if they don't bounce here, they're going to do this. This is one scenario. So I'm going to take this one and put it here. Recycle, reuse, repurpose, as they say. It's lost. This one. So you must hold 15. No, I'm not saying short it. I'm just saying be aware of this potential. So if you're chasing it, I wouldn't go piling all in. I expect resistance. I expect sellers to show up where it all depends. I'm zooming in on the same chart. This comment, by the way, this discussion works probably with 50% of all the stocks we're talking about today. So I guarantee you, I drew this from a higher time frame, right? And I see that I had already 2 lines that say tough resistance, and look where I ended up in the middle. That's pretty consistent. My eyeball on the chart is pretty consistent. I don't use tools. I didn't use MACD. It's all handwritten stuff, right? I have the volume here to help me gauge where the action is. So I know there's going to be resistance at 22. So if I'm long and I get to 22, I'm booking. Harder resistance at 25. You take 25 out, whatever that number is, boom, you're gone. Oh, yeah, well, good. Okay, so good comment from Rake talking about March Madness. This is all about sports betting, right? So they depend on that. I'm not familiar with that, but headlines or not, I'm just telling you what the chart's going to do. So the question is, do I short it? No, but I don't want to chase it blindly after a big rally. And the way to 30%, the way I would chase it is, maybe on a bad day, I would sell a put spread down here and hope the support holds. Maybe an iron condor, but not with this stock. DLR, I think there was a question about DLR. I can't remember. DLR credit put spread. Okay, so somebody did a credit put spread with DLR, 135, 130. Right here. That's a properly placed credit put spread, and I think you're safe. However, I think it does have a date with 137. I don't remember what the question was. So if you have a question in here, you can ask it. Yeah. Devin, oil companies, I'm not a fan. I'm outspoken about that. This is a company I used to trade actively before I got into options. Devin, Suncor, CNQ. During the boom of oil, after oil got shellacked for years. Anyway, it was a successful trade for me many times over for Devon, CNQ, and SU. But not up here. They have resistance from prior, and you're chasing a meme. I filled up yesterday for $6, $5.90 something in California. Friends of mine are higher up towards LA, and they pay well over $7. This can't continue. Not because I'm upset about it. I don't drive much, but because of the U.S. consumer will feel the crimp. It's like it actually controls spending, which in favor. I mean, it helps inflation, I guess, indirectly. It's weird. It's like a weird circle. Inflation is It is part of inflation short term, and it's also helping crimp inflation metrics, maybe. I don't know. I know the US will have to do something about that. They will have to cave and pump, maybe, or grovel and buy oil from people who hate us. It's just weird. Weird situation, but temporary. Regardless, temporary. It is, what is that? Transitory. Booey. EBON. Microcap. Be careful. This looks like a death candle. I would not get long into this candle. Entries down here make more sense. Eagle. Microcap. Back-to-back microcaps. Stuck in the middle of the range. You have no clue if it's going to be here or here. If you lose this one, you go into here. If you take that one out, you're skyrocketing. Enphase, I liked it. I suggested it lower. So if somebody took that and they have, let's put it this way, it played out this arrow I drew for it, and then played out this arrow I drew for it after a couple of detours. It is at prior spike fails and into an accident scene. This is not where I would start longs. However, this is its second poke at it. If you take this out, you're going much higher. I don't think this is the kind of stock that does that. Let's zoom out. Good product. You can't short it. If they take out 191, 192 with force, they can get to 230. But you're chasing. So I would rather do a credit put spread and then add a debit call spread, or debit call spread. This way my out-of-pocket expense hope for a rally is not so big. Credit put spread is risk down here that does not need a rally and allows for a drop. Debit call spread is risk up here that needs a rally. So instead of buying everything, I would buy some and sell some. So less money out of pocket and profit potential. Chris, you can. Chris is new, and I sent out a note on Friday with a form giving me the tickers you want. Since you're new, what you can is towards the end of the session, just tell me the tickers you want, and we'll see. Maybe they're here already. I have 130 to go through. EPD. What's this? Isn't this a energy company too? Yeah, Net Gas. Is this the old ETP? Anyway. Middle of the range. I know natural gas is very violent, so be careful. You have a lot of resistance at 26, which could be a catalyst if taken out, and you have decent support into 23 or lower. So from a trading perspective, I would rather buy the dip to swing up and bust out, or buy the rip above. Right here, there's nothing to do. Equinox. Don't know what this is. The bears have it, all I can tell you, and this is not an obvious point of entry. They're selling rips. And 850 plus or minus, it looks tough. EVgo. Everybody now piles into EVgo. This is not an obvious entry point. Why? It is going into a prior fail, and it's starting to draw a bearish pattern. It's not there. It's not reason to short it, but it's reason to say, hey, you know what? I better delay. I just missed a rally that is 90%. Buy the dip into 12 or 1150. Oh, these guys have earnings this week? Awesome. So if you're a gambler, hey, if you join me in the live session, maybe we can do our earnings mojo on it and see if we can come up with a guess. The earnings move is a guess. Nobody knows. Ford, I still don't like it here. I liked it at 7. I don't like it. I hated it up here. I don't like it here. And I don't hate it. I don't like it. This could still be in play. Lower highs. They're selling rips. That's a rip. Let's see what happens inside the circle. That's it. If I'm long, maybe I can stay long. I wouldn't buy calls, that's for sure. I would own shares if I want to, but it's still way too expensive. I think they need to separate the two companies, the regular Ford and the EV Ford. Otherwise, the regular Ford's P&L is going to get worse. Facebook, hold it for the long term. I shared a write-up to go long Facebook, and it's very profitable. Some people booked, some people locked some profits. I like it super long term. This stock can be 300 again this year. Now it needs cooperation from the market, but I wouldn't short it. Definitely not. FDX, buy the dip could work, but you have to also be cognizant of this. So up here, I drew this potential and it triggered. Now, they're trying to get out of it, untrigger it. The only way you could do it is if you get to 240, bounce back to 230, and stay up there and continue on higher. Otherwise, they're going to come here, face sellers, and finish the job. And then they have one last opportunity to hold this. So you lose 200, you're going to 170, 165. Selling dips are happening at breakout attempts, rips. Trade for what? Anything. I'm looking at FDX right here. Aaron, I don't understand your question. Can you rephrase, please? FISV. I don't know this company. Oh, so kind of like SoFi type of a deal. It is into a lot of resistance. This candle, this is the only candle you need to know. Well, it's an important candle right there. And the middle of it. What happens in the middle of this candle? That's your opportunity to fade it. Now, I know there's a gap to here. You take this out, you're rallying. Until then, it's a slog through this, and it looks like it has support. Not really SoFi. Okay. That's what it says. Provision of financial services technology it operates through. Okay. I trust you. Fintech company. Fintech is a hot topic for decades. It is this one. Fortinet is going into resistance. It had support that failed. Buy the dip opportunity. These are old notes. Boeing worked like a charm. For the same reason this worked, this should also work. So chase it above 352 or do a credit put spread on a bad day and then chase it after the breakout. So nothing to really do here. GE, almost the same exact comment. Buy the dip, zone worked like a charm. Up here, it's going into resistance. I want to see, look, rally, sold, rally, sold, rally, sold. I don't know. We'll see. What do I mean when I say selling rips? Okay, that's what I just meant. Listen to this, Aaron. Rally, sold. This is a rip. They sold it. Rally, sold. This was a rip. Rip higher. Rip, sold. Rally, sold. Rally, sold, question mark. Okay. GGPI. You know, they say buy the dip, sell the rip. Buy the dip is the opposite of this rally sold. You know, they dip, they buy it. They dip. They did that to the S&P for 2 years. Okay, so GGPI, Gores Guggenheim. The art collection? What is this? I don't know. The good news, it's got solid support. Bad news, it's got solid resistance. You're stuck in the middle. Not sure you can do anything with it. Yeah, I don't know what you're asking me here. The stock just rallied to the moon. Are you asking me if you can chase it? No, not for me. It is an open air kind of, but it has been here before. What is this? That is the weirdest P&L, so it must be a micro cap. It is small cap. No clues from the chart. You have to do homework on the upside opportunity. GM. For the same, everything I said about Ford almost applies here. GM is a little bit more at the forefront, I think. Plus, of course, we are a GM household. Well, my son is. This was the opportunity downside for me. And it went straight through. They didn't even bounce. They just went straight through, and more than did it. So from that perspective, I'm comfortable with the support below. I'm not comfortable with the upside opportunity. I am worried about their commitment to EVs. Anyway, let's talk chart. It's going into 46, and I don't like it long into 46. If you look at it, we just talked about selling rips. That's a rip sold. That's a rip / rally sold. Rip sold. Rip sold. Rip sold. Rip. You see how the bears are in charge of the overall action? It doesn't have to touch sides. The overall action. The bulls are trying to go sideways out of it. So I need to see them take out these prior fails. 47, 48. What you want is them to start building an ascending channel. So this one, is it ending and this one's starting? So you want to see it fall to here, fall to here. If I'm long, I could stay long, but I have to recognize that it's going into a tough spot. GPN, Global Payments. Oh, GGPI is back. Okay. Polestar. Polestar makes a decent EVs. I've seen them on the street around my house. By the way, yesterday, again, I was driving to the gym, Saturday morning. I was going to the gym. I got to a stop sign. There were 4 Teslas out of 6 cars. Not mine, but 4 Teslas out of 6 cars. 3 different models. There was a Model Y, X, and S. All right, it's going into prior fail. So this is the test for the bulls. How much conviction did they have? If they take this out, they can get to 145. Otherwise, you just rallied 15 points. So let's see what they do with it. Maybe a dip into 127, get long. Yes, exactly, Brad. Haha. GT, Goodyear Tire. I read somewhere that there are almost no American-made tires or spark plugs. They all sound American, but they're not. I don't know why I would be long this company. First of all, what was that all about? I have to figure that one out. And it's just in the hands of the bears for a while. Technically speaking, you have a lot of resistance. I don't know if you can call this support. We'll see. I mean, P&L is strong. I'm not sure what's going on with it. Does it pay dividends? No. I'm not sure why I would want to own it. Not an easy trade. Hubs. Hubs. Man, you guys are stubbing me. HubSpot. Intern. The description of the business is now they all blend together. All right. They're busting through resistance, but they have more of it up here. Every resistance line is, in fact, an opportunity to break out. The next line that I think will be difficult is this one. It's a high dollar stock. You know, if the what hits the fan, if trouble goes on Wall Street, they sell these things like hotcakes. So it triggered a bearish pattern here that could have been devastating, but they immediately reverted higher, which leaves a lot of weak points. I wouldn't get long here. I would be afraid of the $500 mark. IBM looks like a breakout, the most boring tech company ever. I can't believe management is still there. Well, that's a good point, Rake. The cost of rubber for Goodyear. I don't know how much it is. I'm pretty sure it probably comes from Ukraine. Apparently, everything comes from the Ukraine. Never before did I know that anything comes from the Ukraine, and now everything comes from the Ukraine. It's just weird. The 128 was a breakout zone that could get it to 134. So if you're going after that, you have to realize that 130 plus or minus a buck is going to be extremely difficult to go through. This is a company where I would rather sell a put spread into it, and I don't like the company, but I've traded it well, and I would be comfortable with a credit put spread or an iron condor. ICLR. This one is trying to do a breakout. So fade it here or chase it after they break through that prior fail. Or you buy the dip when it comes down towards 229. I don't know exactly where, but you'll have to see the price action to own it to try to bust out. So they might do this. Intel, I said own it for the long term. If it comes back to 44, the proper, or towards 44, 45 or lower, the proper thing is to own a chunk for the long term. This is a monster company. Everybody talks about Intel and Nvidia and AMD. This one is bigger than both of them put together twice over. So it has no respect right now. I bet it becomes sexy again sometimes in the next couple of years. So if you want an investment into tech that pays 3% in dividend, this would be it. It's a good company. So I think it will hold support even in a market disaster. Anovia. Nothing from the chart. It's stuck in the middle of the range. You have incredible resistance at 19.8 and a trigger above 20.4. and a good solid support here, but then you have a gap down to here. I think it's a perception on catching up the processors. I'm reading the stats, and their processors are just as fast as the other ones. I think it's a matter of what type of technologies they're peddling with the rhetoric. That's my opinion. Technically, they're not that far behind, but I am not an expert on I am an electrical engineer, but I'm not an expert in processors right now. Okay, jets. Not an obvious entry point. 21 should be extremely difficult, and there's a fade down to 19.3 in the next couple of days, most likely. Let's look at the internals. There are no obvious signs of it, so the bulls may try to bust out of 21. You might get a buck out of it if you're fast enough, but it's right in the middle of the price action. So look at the range, top to bottom, right in the middle. JK Solar, Jinko Solar. I knew it was a solar company. Not an obvious entry point. That is a messy ticker. I wouldn't trade it. I wouldn't touch it. If you're an investor, fine. But if you're actually trading it, whoa, there are easier tickers to trade. KHC, Kraft. You cannot lose 37. Simple as that. You lose 37, you're going to 35.50. And you're not going to be able to break through 38.50 easily. You're stuck. If it had enough premium, I'd do an iron condor on it. I don't think it does. So I don't know why I should trade it. Good. If you own your stock, you get 4%. Which, by the way, you now can get almost 2.5, 2.2 from the government if you buy their 10-year bond. KMX, CarMax. Lower highs, trying to establish floor. So there's a big battle. 106 plus gets you up there. So the 106 breach might get you, but you have immediate resistance. This one might get some good pin action like this. But you have to see the breach. So if I'm not long, I would wait for this to go ping. Or you buy it here for the swing. So if it fades, you're going to find support. And then you do your thing. Same outcome. Which path does it take? I can't see the future. KRE, banks. I would avoid banks. This is regional banks, so slightly different than large banks, because if you think about it, the Fed had all the advantages trying to reflate the economy, right? So all the banks have had freebies forever. All the overnight action, they've given them hundreds of millions of dollars overnight. That's all going to go away, if not already gone away. So I don't know why I would want to be long banks. Let me put it this way. If the banks are rallying, so are markets. So why would I want to be a boring batch that could be at a disadvantage? Somebody's asking me what would be considered enough premium. Depends on the spread. So if I'm doing a $5 wide spread, credit put spread, I wouldn't take less than 50, 60 cents on it. To me, that's enough. Some people need 2, which is basically gambling, coin flip. 50 cents on $5 is what I would need. 12 cents on $1. There's no rule. That's my preference. Labu, I would stay long. I like the opportunity long term. This guy moves very, very fast. It's the 3 times the XBI. So XBI is basically biotech. Good companies in there. They've fallen and they're consolidated. Now, the risk is if you lose 12, you're going to come down a lot, which is an unlikely scenario without a market-wide crash. LMT. Jay, remind me at the end if it's not on the list. I don't know what I don't remember off the top of my head if it was. LMT. So you saw this trade. I shared it somewhere up here. I can't remember. 9th, maybe March 9th. I said I'm short. I said I would sell a call spread, this one, or buy a debit put spread, that one, or both. I did this one, not this one. But if somebody did both, they are swimming in profits. And then recently I said, why not sell a credit put spread to make an iron condor out of these two after the fact it fell? And I shared that, and that's the play here. It has support. I hate the rally, temporary reasons, and I think it has supports. Now, I would stop out somewhere below here. If it loses this one, they might be coming down to here. So if somebody's afraid of it, they should stop out fast. LUV, not an obvious point of entry. If they could take this out, they're going to face a lot more resistance up here. This is my favorite airline because they were built on no frills. That was their tagline, no frills. That means they know how to use low margins. So they're probably the smartest of the airlines. But look at it, from here to here, somewhere in the middle lies the truth. There's no reason to get long here. Maybe credit put spread on a down day, which is a bullish position, again, that does not need a rally to win and leaves room for error. Marriott, not an obvious point of entry. I'm repeating myself. So guess what? With Marriott, if it dips, this is a long if. If it dips and it finds footing and it does this, get out of if you're short, because this one could get it up to here or higher. So put a trade alert above this guy, above 174.8, that tells you you have maybe $5 to $8 of upside if you're fast enough. From an investment perspective, it's not an obvious entry point. Mara is like everything I said about coin applies here, I believe. So it trades with Bitcoin. All right, so be careful. Long term, I have much more upside for it. Let me see. Was that a weekly chart? Maybe daily chart. Yeah, on a daily chart, I thought it would dip and come back up to here. Well, the dip was lower, so I guess I would need to do this, right? Actually, it does work. So I'm going to do that, recognizing that my base was wrong. The price behavior should be correct. It's almost to the freaking penny. Look, this one matches up with that one. So I'm happy. So now you have a lot of resistance from here to 32. If they take out 32, they can get to 40. So if I'm long, I can stay long, recognizing that this is a sideways move that could be the one before a big drop, because just like coin, the letter coin, the ticker coin, this is on the table, can happen because of BTC. No, if Bitcoin loses 33K. On its own, it shouldn't do this. Solid support. But if Bitcoin loses 33,000, this one will come down to the single digits. Mongo, this is not an obvious entry point. Let's go near term. This is one of those stocks that is probably pretty fast. Lost necklines equal resistance zone. That's all there is to it. It could rally higher, but it's got a lot of scar tissue. Okay. 1B. Don't know what this is. 2 billion. So it's a micro cap. It's in the hands of the bears. They're selling little rallies. So you have a lot of resistance into 200. Not very. It doesn't look that great. Perfect, Rake. You have your own system. That's great. All right, Magni. I still like it for the long term. Consolidation zone, it needs to hold. Otherwise, if it doesn't hold, then if you lose this one, you could come down to here, almost exactly as the other one. Now, this one also has an upside opportunity. Still, like this one, I'll push it over. How much is it? About this. I don't give it usually full credit. I'm kind of conservative, so I'm just going to move it over. Kind of like this. A lot of resistance around 18. Marvel, I suggested the long. Boy, that's a lot of stuff. I suggested the long, and this was the opportunity for Marvel on 3-4. 3-4. Here. Oh, okay, so after the earnings. On 3-4, debit call spread, or buying calls or debit call spread, selling puts or put spreads, they're all extremely profitable. So I would lock it, even though it could go higher. So let's look at the lines that I drew for it. This was my expectations, that somewhere here it had support and it could get to here. Well, that's pretty freaking close, which is saying that 74 area and higher is very resistive. Now look at this candle. I wouldn't want to be long anywhere near it unless it goes above it. Now you go above this one, anything is fair game, but that is a violent reaction 2 days in a row. What does that mean? They opened here and they immediately hated it, and then the next day they thought they loved it even more, and they said nope, and nope. So this is tough. We'll see what happens. Microsoft, I would own it for the long term. There was a lot of action in Microsoft here. I know it popped. Where is it? Oh, anyway, it popped on one of my scans. Trust me, it did. I'm leery of all this resistance above. So although I drew it like this, I don't think this will happen. This may happen down here again. Actually, it did happen once, like this and that. But you need to hold. So great support. But you can't afford to lose it, which is kind of what we're saying the whole market. So this one goes by way of the market. So credit put spread, super good. Maybe I'll do even an iron condor with this one. I'll do a video because that looks like tough resistance up here. So maybe I'll do that. Iron condor on Microsoft. Yeah, that's the ticket. And Microsoft, I see. I'm making a note. Micron, a lot of people love the stock. I think it has a lot of resistance, but it doesn't mean it can't rally. But it just has a lot of resistance. Let's zoom in to see if we can find some of it. So it's starting to look like an inverse head and shoulders, which is bullish. So this is available if this sector spikes. I don't think it's doable. I think there's a lot of resistance from here to 85, 86. So be careful. Credit put spread, I trust more. Are you hearing me say that every time? Because what did I say in the beginning? We just went through an extremely tough test. That's support. Somebody added this last minute. I don't even know what that is. So whatever it is, it's not for me. It is a micro cap. This looks difficult. But you have to do your homework. The chart's not going to help you out much. MWA. Mueller Water Products. Again, a micro cap. Yeah, this looks pretty scary. I don't know the company. Technically, this is, the bounce is awesome, but this isn't, you missed it, I think. I mean, if you're looking to get long now, not for me. Look at this. 13.5. It's going to be difficult. Net, that's Cloudflare. I believe I shared a trade on Cloudflare. I can't remember it. So this was the expectation. They did half and then they collapsed into support. So now you can trust the support until it fails. And if it fails, you're out. So this one moves to here. I can sell a credit put spread on a bad day and stop out below here if I don't want to own shares. This trigger is still here. So this is still resistance and a trigger eventually. Netflix, I would own it for the long term. Short term, it's going to face resistance. It's almost at my upside opportunity. So there's something weird with it. So be careful. I wouldn't sell puts naked. I used to sell puts naked in it, but not anymore. There's something weird. This feels a little off. Don't know what it is. NEO, we spoke about it. If now you're buying long NEO, you and I do not share the same methods of trading. I suggested the long NEO here on the day of or the day before, and then it ripped 40%. It's now up 64% in what, 3 days? So it's not my cup of tea up here, especially because of this. So I have to go in and see if I can guess which way guess which way the earnings are going to go. As for, hey, I forgot your name. I don't want to call you broke boy. I don't like that tag name. Shoot, Martin, is it? Anyway, so Netflix did raise prices or talked about raising prices, but I read that they might be. They said that ads are not out of the question. And that headline might make it fall, but it's great for the business. They spend a lot of money. Did you know they spend $20 billion a year? $20 billion a year on content. They probably outspend everybody else combined. So that's a complete guess on my part. I think Apple said $2 billion max, or $1. So yeah, I've seen those. Last Kingdom. Nicola, somebody said it's cheap. They said they're getting away from litigation and it's cheap. Cheap? Do they even have an income? How do you determine cheap? There's no income, nothing but spending. Cheap? No, there's no value here. You mean low price, not cheap. You insist on trading Nikola, fine, I will trade it. I'll tell you, this is not a place to get long, because this is a floor that they needed to hold, and that's their last gasp at it. If they fail here, my guess is they go to $4. How? They will try to hold this on a swing lower, and eventually they will lose 650 and they will come down to 4. That's my guess. But step one is I don't get long. That's it. That's all I'm saying now. Not short it. I say don't chase it into this level. From here until 9 and change, it's going to be difficult. Okay, there you go. You're trading in and out. That's fine. And tap. Not an obvious point of entry on a daily chart. Let's go a little more granular. You can see it here. So on this level, it looks like an easier pop than on the daily. So if you get to 92.50 with force, maybe, just maybe you can get to 102, but this is a tough wall. So maybe this one will be violent enough to burst through it. How? I bet you it'll drop a little bit, come back, and take it out into an inverse head and shoulders that would give you this much. About this much. I'm eyeballing it. Somewhere from here. So it'll be like something like this. Novavax. I had that discussion today this week in the live room about Novavax. I said, they're selling stuff outside the US, I'm pretty sure of it. But they finally are ready to apply, or did they apply to be used in the US? But I have to tell you, I haven't heard COVID in the news in so long. It's everything Putin now. Like Putin is the new COVID for the media. So I'm not sure how much the same zealousness that was in the stock of Novavax, is it still the same? I don't know. So it is risky, to say the least. And I have to remind you that this is a 20-for-1 split. So this is what is it? It's a sub $10 stock, really, if you want to imagine it. It does have sales finally, but how much upside is there still? The triggers are, if you want to know, 91 versus 66. You lose 66, you're going for a big ride lower. You break out of 91, you could push to 105 or 115. And of course, this is a headline stock. The headlines is about emotions. Okay, so this is Nvidia had excellent upside opportunities, and they all played out. I'm going to delete this one. This one did not. This one was perfect. I'll delete it just for visual noise. Buyable dip, yes, of course. We'll extend it right. Hopefully, we will not need it. This one now is support. This breakout opportunity played out. This is also support. So these are a couple of support zones short term. Now, this is a big problem if you look left. I don't think they should break out through it easily. But what they can do is, even if they punch through, wrong one. Let's say this week, Monday, Tuesday, they punch through and they fail. Anywhere here, there's an entry opportunity. And then if you come back to here and you bust out of this, you can get to first about 284, and then second probably about 305, maybe even more. I'll show you the visual. Anyway, something that basically you trigger that. But I don't think it happens like this. I think the stutter for whatever reason. Powell says, "Oh, everybody freaks out." Boom. New York Bank, is that what this says? New York Community Bank. Yeah, I don't like banks. It is in the bottom, so it is support if there's no issue with the bank. It pays 6%, so hold the stock. That's probably the best way. That's how you combat inflation. Not for me. Palo Alto Networks, not up there. That's too high. Not for me. Look at this insane rally. It held support like a champ. But now you see this, it's going back into the prior failure. So the bulls, that's what they're trying to do, to get water in their lungs, and then they're going to get smacked by the bears. Anybody stuck up there will want to get out. This is tough, but then if you take it out, it becomes the catalyst to get you there. I think it's difficult to chase it up here, but don't short it, that's for sure. 26%. Whew. Pen, it's already dealing with its old demon, right? That's where it fell apart from, and now it has to deal with it. And everything I said about it earlier is still here. The opportunity is still here. You just have to trigger it somehow. Whoop. Kind of a wonky shaped thing. Something like that. But, where? This? I think it's this. It deserves to be that, since they already printed it. This guy. Oh, check this out. Matches up with this one perfectly. Okay, yeah, something like that. Credit put spread on a bad day seems better until it breaks out. Pfizer, I don't know why I would want to be long here. If it was not a biotech company type of a deal, I would try to short it. It is in a resistance zone. That could be incredible catalyst, but why do it without a dip? I think it should dip like Nvidia and then come back and take it out. It's pretty late trying to trade this rally. If you're going to just if you're chasing this rally, it just rally 20%. I remember days when Pfizer used to be called where money used to go to die. PGR, that is a very interesting candle. You take this out, open space to the moon. I don't know, $6. And this is an incredibly bullish looking candle. But is this an all-time high? Yes. Whew, the bears are in trouble. Not an investment. So this is Pinterest. Somebody said they want to sell credit put spread or debit call spread. Yes. I would hold the stock for a long term. I think this one has a buyout coming. The drop was insane. It's a good business and it's trying to snap out of it. I would own stock, own calls for the long term. I've shared this opinion for a while. It just had a big rally, so I wouldn't chase it first thing Monday. Palantir, same exact comments. Every consolidation is failing, and this is a consolidation. But at some point, this is a $1.7 billion business, so it's not expensive. It's not dirt cheap, but it's not expensive. I'm holding longs. I would be long. I would own shares for the long term and not look at them for a long time. See, multi-year position on the dips. PayPal, I would currently, this is the absolute best example of what happened to this market. Excellent fundamentals, excellent metrics. Management doesn't skip a beat, and they sold it like it's going out of business. This level is inside the pandemic, so it was as low as when the whole world was shut down for business. That doesn't make sense. So, finally, do we have an upside pattern going? It looks like. See that one? It's forming. Maybe, maybe not. So I will make it less visually obtrusive. They consolidated well. Last time they consolidated this. Okay, so but they also before I'm going to delete that. Never mind. It was an old note saying that they've done this consolidation before and failed, but this one they didn't. Now, should be resistance. You're going to deal with old demons, but this one has been sold down so badly that I would own it for the long term. And if I'm long, I would make sure to leave runners. And if I'm looking to get long on dips, now maybe they buy dips. That's the difference that the bears don't. I tried to say that earlier. When will the bears figure out that the code is changed to buy the dip from sell the rip? So when it dips, they're going to try to reshort it again. It's going to come back and hit them in the face. And then it dips, they're going to try to short it. Boom. So it takes them a couple of weeks to figure it out, if indeed that's what's going on, if indeed this is true. So keep in mind that channel. The Qs, I'll have a whole video for the Qs and the SPY later today. Tonight. we're going back into the necklines. So we shouldn't breeze through it. I hope not. That'd be just bad price action. We should just stutter a little bit, go sideways, and then burst higher level, one level at a time. Roblox, if it's an investment, fine. The business is cranking. They grew, whatever, 20, 30%, and they just punished them like it's going out of business. Now they have to deal with the resistance zones. But if I'm long, I would stay long. If I'm looking to get long, know that you're going to face a lot of sellers here. So maybe a dip, yes, but you have to know that there are a lot of sellers. So if you're chasing and you absolutely must buy it now, make sure to put a stop. Riot, I think it's a Bitcoin tag as well. So anything I said for coin works here. And Mara, if Bitcoin loses 33, this happens. If Bitcoin loses 33K, this can happen. I don't see the future, but my guess. Meanwhile, let's take one of these. Oh, this one is still there. Potential. I already said that below. There you go. Rivian, you have to respect the bears. Rivian has no income basically. I see a few of their cars here. I also saw their first delivery van, which is super cool. But they're still, you look at the P&L, it's blank, nothing but spending. So you have to respect the bear, and there are bears into 50. If you're looking to invest in it, I would not go all in. Roku is a fast-moving stock. Don't short it, and it can rally pretty fast. The dip is buyable, and as were all of these other dips. So I would stop out below 100 because they might go to 80. But if it's an investment and you added a little bit now, I would hold it. If you sold the credit put spread and now it's back alive, which I know some of you have, take it off, book the profit. If the markets rally hard, this one can be in the 200s this year. I'm confident. But if the markets rally. Range Resources, this is not an obvious entry point. Short-term range, long-term top. Starbucks, weird chart. Weird chart. Be careful. This looks like an opportunity that gets you to here and higher. Meanwhile, this is a breakdown. So coming back into the breakdown should be a lot of resistance. I bet 93.5 and up is going to be difficult. But the bulls are trying. But look at that. You have to respect those bears. Investment, okay. Credit put spread, okay. Calls, no. Debit call spread, maybe. Iron Condor, maybe. SE, good P&L. Bad price action. The bears are in charge. Bulls trying to take the charge back. Swim out sideways. Unless they take out 151, I'm uncomfortable buying rips this big. Why? They rallied, they sold, they rallied, they sold, they rallied, they sold. That's been going on for a while. You have to respect the bears until the bulls say, okay, we're done. See this? Played out and then some. Yep, you have to swim out of the riptide. The gaps are not magnets unless you're going in that direction. And not every gap is actually a gap. Like this is not a gap. There was actually I'm trying to show you that that there might not be a physical gap there. Maybe. Anyway, it's too wonky. Not every gap needs to be filled. And if it falls into here, from here on here, it will find support. And if it fills, it fills partially. This is almost like pre-filling the gap. Anyway. Schlumberger. I would not be long this stock. I know it's memey, but here's what I see. I see resistance up here. If I'm right about that, this is what's going to happen. And then at some point, materials and the whole meme about oil and war was going to collapse, come back to here. That's my guess. Be aware of it. If you get long, or if you got long, I would trim and lock and get out. Snow. I feel like repetitive. They all bounced hard, but they've done that before. All of them. They're all good businesses, but that didn't matter before. So now Snow into 260 is an absolute leave, because that is a lot of prior sellers that may show up. But on its own, it's a good business maybe. Revenue growth is there, but they spend a lot of money. And until Wall Street changes that appetite, it's there. The risk is there. 240 is a big area to fight. It just rallied to high heaven. If you haven't booked some, 40%. SoFi, I'm long. I booked some. I'm leaving some because I bought it dirt freaking cheap for the long term. Great business. People misunderstand it. This is a lead business, and lead businesses are cash cows, on top of it being a bank too now. SPCE, it's a long-term bet. It's the definition of a long-term bet. So remember this? Guess what? Should be resistance, but if taken out, catalyst. Yep, still, I can move it over here. I'm going to leave it there to make the point. God dang. All right, what is happening, TradingView? It's like nails on a chalkboard when this happens to me. Like I physically get affected by it. Two things with TradingView. That, and when I do Alt-S and it doesn't give me this like it's supposed to, the link, it just creates a new page for some reason. There's a bug in it. They don't want to fix it. It just drives me bonkers. Anyway, look out for this. Breakout could be fantastic. But this is a long-term bet. So I own some. If you want to bet on future, this is it. It's literally, that's what it is. The SPY is going into prior resistance. Now you remember, if you were with me since last year, 436, 446 go hand in hand. We broke out of 436. I put an arrow and I said we have $10 from here. It looked ridiculous at the time, and we got it to 446, and then we took off to high heaven. Well, last week I said, remember 436, 446? It almost came on Friday in one day. So there's a gap that would fill it to 446. Tough place to start. So check it out. I've done it for a lot of charts today. Let's say Monday, Tuesday we do this, and then we fade somewhere to here. You're going to hear CNBC come up with all kinds of reasons why this is, this was a dead cat bounce. I would buy this dip somewhere in here. We'll see how it unfolds. And then if you take this out, you're going to surprise some people. How much? By a lot. It's going to be a pretty exciting rally. So this basically a baby one of these. I'm going to eyeball it from here to here. So I just want you to know that there could be a dip. So I don't buy calls hoping. The best thing is to sell a credit put spread, to buy a call or a call spread after the bottoming process. Hey, Sandman. Square. Oh my. All right. Everything I said for PayPal works here. It's going back into some tough areas, but Square already triggered a bull at 132.5, which means it could get to 160. So don't short it. Leave runners if you want to. Lock profits. Turn a call into a call spread, just in case. But long term, sure, great company. This one, we always thought it needs to pop. It needs to pop, and then I stopped trading it, and then it does 40%. It's not for me. And if you're chasing it after 40%, it's not for me. This is a Brazil Shopify, basically. I would rather be in Shopify, to be honest with you. However, Brazilian ETF caught a lot of steam last week, so maybe this translates into this company, EWZ, right? That's Brazil. Look at the highest call open interest change. So this is stocks with highest change of their calls now over their open interest for the last 7 days. That's an expressive move, saying the options average 7 days open interest, meaning positions, The EWZ had a spike. Now, you need to go dig into that before you take it at face value, but at least it pops on the screen. And if that affects STNE, maybe that goes hand in hand. I don't know. Maybe the EWZ is because STNE. Well, let's go answer that. What is in the EWZ? Let's see here. It's not here, so it's not it. Okay. But anyway, there might be upside, but 40% people. I would never chase a 40% rally. State Street. This is the old Bond King, right? Yeah. Fifth Third Bank, isn't that it? I think they're both the same. 90 should be incredibly difficult, and so is 92. So it's not for me. This is not an obvious entry for a trade. For an investment, it pays only 2.5%. Supermex. I don't know what that is. Is that a prison? I don't know what that is. Anyway, some sort of a cardboard. Stuck into short-term range. You have incredible support here, incredible resistance up there. TAC. This would be the exciting part. 15.4 to finish the gap. Or buy the dip if it happens. Choppy. So be careful what you're doing with that. Pretty choppy. Pharmaceutical, so it's liable for Teladoc. Oh my God, liable for headlines. This one, good business, terrible price action. If you're stuck long and this rally gets you out, I know there are a few people that had sold the $55 put. I bet you most of them didn't close it. Even though they were in deep trouble earlier, they decided that, oh, it might go higher. They're not practicing their ABCs. When I have a trade that goes wrong and I get relief, I would get out. I did. Anyway, I like it for the long term. But this is a rally, and they have been selling rallies for months. So I have to respect the fact that they could sell this one as well. Team. It has room to go to 320, 325, but it also has a lot of resistance around 305. So be aware of that. Good base for the long term. If it dips back to 260, I should get long. Target, good company. Used to be good stock. It got broken. So if they can take out this resistance, this one tiny little candle right there, wow, that is a very sharp place. So basically 229.5 could get you 250 if you can take it out with force. I'm going to put an alert. 2-hour chart? Yeah. Ooh, I'm starting to yawn. I'm running out of energy. Tilray. Well, look at the red line. That red line looks pretty promising. So you either chase it above 5.6, or you buy the dip to take it to take the rally, the breakout, short term. Now, difference between trading and investing. If I'm an investor who had been looking to get long Tilray and I've been scared, well, now I have a low that came on an absolute disaster scenario, a tough test, one would agree. So if I wanted to get long this company for the long term, say 200 shares, I would sell a put, and that would give me money, commit me for 100 shares, and I would buy a call or buy 100 shares. This way, half my position is hedged, because when I sell a put, I'm collecting something, and if it doesn't fall, I make that something. But if it does fall, I'm not losing money like I would be buying a call. That's just kind of a thing you can do in a low dollar stock. It is a good company. The whole business is illegal, which is crazy. Where is the White House headline already? Toyota. I don't know why I would want to be long Toyota. I would rather do it with GM. I mean, the stocks look the same. I don't know much about Toyota, so I think Toyota is going to change the world. I think it's going to tell us, wait, you guys are crazy. It's not EVs. We can't support EVs. We can't. It has to be a hybrid. The EV cannot replace the internal combustion engine. That's a mathematical fact with current technology. Why do you say that, Nick? Because we produce 100 million cars a year, actually more. We did 90 million during pandemic. So if you produce 100 million cars every year, those cars have to be EVs. So you need batteries for all of them, backup batteries for all of them. And after 3 years of production that much, you need backup batteries for them when they get older. And that is an exponential increased need for batteries. The landfills couldn't handle it. The sources couldn't handle it. We would need an alternative source of power. I think it's going to be a hybrid. I think Toyota has the answer, and they're sitting on it. All right, TPL. What is this? I don't know what this is. 1400 is not an obvious point of entry. 1480 is definitely not an obvious point of entry. All driving semis. And by the way, Nikola is a semi company. It's not a car company. So T-Row something fell into perfect support. So 130 to 140, now we know is solid support. If you lose that support we just made, you can come down to 120, which would be even better support. So if I'm holding longs, I can hold longs. If I got long full bore, I made a mistake. I should have left room to add a little bit later, but it looks good for support. Tesla, wow, right? Whew. Man, I love Tesla during the day. It makes people money. If you have time to get into the live room, it's a lot of fun. So this is the wall that Tesla has to deal with short term. So from here to 940, but you better be out of it if you're short at 948. This has been a trigger for 1 hour trigger. 1 hour trigger. Two. I'm going to eyeball 1020. It's hard to guess. I would say 1020 is doable if they take 928. If they take 928. So if you're a trader, you would wait for the breach and immediate 980 resistance. 980R. And somebody asked me, I should have started with that, how do I do this? How do I trade these comments? Well, if you're in the live room, if you're trading this fast, you should be in the live room, because if you have time to be on the computer to trade, why wouldn't you be with us in the live room? And how I would do it is I would buy a call and put a stop. If I spend 1,000, which is impossible for Tesla, I would put a tight stop. What is the stop? I say to myself, if my call shows me that I've lost 300, I should be out. The 300 number is my preference, and it's not a rule. I sometimes change it to 500, sometimes 200, or sometimes it's a matter of level. If it loses this level, I'm out. Okay, so that's how I do it. If you're talking about swing trade opportunities, slightly different concept. I would go out in time and use longer dated contracts, calls or puts. Taiwan Semi, I've said it before, good company, good base. This says it should be going back to 112. The internals are healthy. The target is 112 to 114. That's plain as day. But what about skirmishes with China / Taiwan? If this one is rallying, the XLK is rallying, AMD is rallying, Intel is rallying, Micron is rallying. So you got to weigh the pros and cons. So this one looks like it's going to 112, if not 114. So the rally from here, this is a tough zone. So maybe it dips a little bit. Comes back to here, it dips a little bit. Here, it's going to dip a lot a bit before it gets into this one. So to cover the gap, it's going to chop, stutter, and then face a resistance zone above. That's it. What is this? TSM. We'll go here. TT, train. Is that the air conditioning company? Okay, you've got a lot of resistance up there. A lot of support. I would buy the dip in here. I would hold it if I want to, but trading wise, this is a better entry and this is a tough spot. Trade for what? I literally just stocked a whole bunch of time frames. I would go out at least a month. I mean, I don't know when that's going to happen. So pick a date that you can actively participate in it. If you're going on vacation, don't do it, or pick a longer date. A TSM credit put spread, yes, that would be good. So maybe I will do a TSM credit put spread idea. But I'm afraid of the headline, you know. I would rather maybe an XLK credit put spread. Okay, this one's exciting. I do remember Twitter. I mentioned it, and I drew two opportunities. Okay, there we go. I'm trying to find a time frame that shows both. So from here, I said opportunity 1, it's going to fade maybe, and then to get opportunity 2. So if I'm long Twitter, I should have booked some because that's where it failed before. And it's fading, not failing, fading. I would buy the dip to come back and take it out. And when they take it out, they can get to 44. Long term, this was a good entry point. I can't stand the company. I use it all the time, but I can't stand it. They control my news feed, but based on what they think I want to see. And they're wrong, by the way. And I post, and my posts disappear. Nothing, like, even if it's, I think it's a mechanical thing. And I don't think they're like filtering stuff. I think they're trying to be so smart that they're messing with the feed. Like, even if I would say hi, and sometimes it shows up, sometimes it doesn't. It's like weird. Anyway, it's a good source of headlines for me. And they're starting to know how to make money with it. Maybe the new CEO will be able to concentrate on it and grow it into, I mean, it is definitely a valuable platform. But super long term, I worry about its direction. Holding longs here should work. If the markets are higher, this one should recover to 52, and then the problem will be up there, technically. Unity. Okay, so check out this Unity thing. This was a silly me complaining about headlines. Derek, I think, shared this one. He's a believer now. Anyway, put that aside. That's a joke. So Unity was a buy. I had a conversation. I said it's a buy, and I structured the trade, and I never put it on for myself. And then it did this. Basically rallied to the moon. So me not buying it made it rally to the moon. You're welcome. 30% rally. Just like the other ones, if I take these out, it's rallying into a prior fail. Look, it's in the hands of the bears, right? You can physically see it. The bears are selling rallies. There's no doubt about it. So you have to respect that. So let's go in more granular to see if we can find a spot. So this is a tough spot. This is a tough spot. So if you clear 108, you have breathing space. You can get to 124. 124 question mark. I put a question mark to force me to get in and poke around different time frames so I don't focus on 124. Okay. So chop here, dip, buy the dip to get by. So credit put spread here might be worth it. So I'm going to put Unity CPS to catch the upside potential without upside risk money. I'm making comments for myself. Okay. UNH, very active. I wouldn't trade options in UNH. Very illiquid. Strong base, strong move. Looking at this, yikes, I don't see anything there. If I'm a bear, I'm scared. All-time high. Guess what? I'm in the same boat with Lilly. I promised never to trade Lilly, and I forgot, and I shorted Lilly, and now I'm in trouble. So I shorted it with a credit call spread. Small bite. It's costing me a couple $100, I think, after the fact. I may close it this week and move on. it did work. It paid me right away. I didn't book it, and then I remembered. Oh no, Lily, now I remember. So UNH, similar. If you're long, you can trade it, but if you're long and you didn't book, you and I are different. You should book and lock, just in case they dip down here. If they dip down here, you can do a credit put spread, but I'm warning you, the quotes are pretty weird. Uranium, I don't know anything about it. $5 looks terrible. 380 looks like support. Ping pong between those two for now. VCSA, another microcap. Wow, that is a mess. 850 looks like a wall. You got to find out what the hell's going on, because it might come back to 6. Vertex near highs. I don't know if it's all-time highs. It is. Not an ideal entry for an investor. That's pretty impressive. So decide whether you're investing or trading. I think it goes to 240-ish. Wyndham, not an ideal investment. Looks like a technical setup above this that will get you to this. And if you take this out, then you can make some reparations. That is also an all-time high. Wow, pretty impressive, people. So yeah, take this out. 88 rounding. You have a lot of resistance, but you could get and challenge this. Take this out, open air. If I'm long, I guess I could stay long, but I definitely want to trim. Buy the dip into here to swing it back up. That would be your best bet. So if it does this, let's say it falls let's say next week it trips for whatever reason. Headline, blah, 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 whatever. It comes back up to here. This might get you this. Whichever comes first. Buy the dip to break out or break out right away. BDBR, buy the dip or buy the rip. Win. This one, you have to, you know what, between those two, I don't know which one has Macau exposure, if any. So you have to look into that, because Macau, China, etc. Those are headlines you can't control. So Hilton, I know, I thought I did. I shared it as a long in lieu of, say, Las Vegas Sands. So this zone is tough. From 81 to 84. Not impenetrable, but it is tough. The base is good, so on dips, sell the put spread. XLF, not for me. This says support, lost. Now it's, I'm going to put it right here, resistance zone. Again, the whole sector is going to be suffering from the lack of the help from the Fed. Fed gave them free money because they were trying to reflate the economy. Why would the Fed give them free money now? That's gone. So I don't know what's gone. I know it's gone, whatever it is. So be careful. If the XLF is rallying, so will the market. Also, you have to look at the TLT. So on the XLF, it's sporadically, not a rule, trading with the TNX, which is the opposite of the TLT. So if the TLT rises, the XLF, in theory, sometimes, more often than not, these days, is falling. It's not a rule, but it's happening. And the TLT is in mega breakdown, which I think is going to flip. And if I'm right, then the TLT should rally. And if it does, the XLF will have extra weight. So that's why another reason I don't like it. Zim, wow, okay, major caveats here on Zim. First of all, it has a special dividend coming. The ex-div day is 22nd. Double check that. $17. That is a massive dividend. I was long, and I closed my longs. I had a diagonal. Worked out perfectly, but I closed it anyway. Because if you had a debit call spread, in this guy, and this one you buy, this one you sell, whatever call spread you had, if it's like this anywhere here, I would close it, because this leg is short. You sold this leg. You bought this leg. You sold this leg. And if this leg is within $17 of current price, you might wake up short the stock, which may make you money in the end. But if you don't want to be short the stock and wake up to this mess, you want to revisit those facts. I'm just letting you know that there's a risk of, what do they call it? Dividend traps or something like that, where they put you short the stock. Well, the owner of the stock you sold needs their dividend, and you're the payer. So it's weird. Be careful with that. Right. It's happened to me before. A long time ago. Luckily, it was not $17. The P&L of this company is incredibly healthy. So I wrote it, thanks to Jake, from here to here, and I'm out. Zip. Oh, ZipRecruiter, wow. Okay, a lot of resistance. Good support, a lot of resistance. I don't think I want to deal with it right here. Maybe I'd sell a put spread on the dip. I wouldn't, but if somebody wanted to. Zoom, I'm holding longs. I have 60 or 70% greens on it. The longs I shared live, but it was like a whim last minute entry. The day I did SoFi, I also added Zoom. So I didn't share it because I just shared it before. So I didn't want people to add to current positions. This is an excellent company long term. Their P&L, they don't get credit for their P&L. However, it's still in the hands of the bears, so you have to respect that. So I will lock my profits, but my bet is for June. I own June calls. I forgot where, 148, 145, something like that. So I need more upside, but I'm already profitable. So I bought a low delta on purpose. That's uncharacteristic, but I had very specific reasons why. My reason is the weekly chart, this one. This is a bullish harmonic pattern that says, I'm afraid to say the upside because people will go chasing it, that says, how about this? It should blow through 180, okay? I'm not going to say how high this says it could go, but I don't have corroborating evidence except this, that maybe the internals are starting to get stronger. So that's it. Company's excellent. Oh, that's it, Zim? Okay, so I do have some questions. Let me run through them first, and then I'll do some other tickers. Nikolai already addressed. How do I execute? Okay, so I forgot your name. Somebody asked, how do I execute debit call spread? So very basic questions, like what's a call, what's a put? I have videos for those. So you let me know. Reach out to me in the chat room, in the regular chat room where you're a member, and I'll give you a link to those videos. Would I start shorting OIH? I'm short USO and I shared it, and I'm profitable, believe it or not. It hasn't been a breeze, but the day I shorted it, it delivered immediately. So I sold puts and I booked them, and then it popped and I went red, and then it dropped and went green. I sold more puts and then it popped, and those are dead in my favor, and I sold more puts. So I'm selling puts against my long put. So I'm bearish, but I booked a lot along the way. So I'm short the USO. The OIH, I don't know as well. So I'm short the USO. And it's working out. And it hit all my targets. And I'm still short. Because I think if it loses 68, I think it goes to the 50s. Nobody sees this coming. Technically, if it loses 68, I'm short via April puts. So I may need to roll it forward to get more time. The Excel Sunday sheet. I'll give it to you in here. Somebody's asking. Oh, thanks. Nice people. Okay, so I already, let's see here, works. Thinking of selling puts or credit put spread on all tickers. I think this was John. That works for me, as long as you know levels and you're not doubling up on things. Avid Delta, based on the current Nvidia. Cheap expiring. Okay, somebody's saying they have cheap sold puts in Nvidia expiring soon this week. Worth holding. It all depends. Or wait, cheap. I don't know if you bought cheap or you sold cheap. In any case, if this if I sold a put and now it's cheap to buy back and take the risk off, I would definitely buy back to take the risk off. If I bought a put and now it's worth nothing, it's too late to ask what do I do with it, right? If the delta of that put that I bought is below 10 or below 15, 0.15, 0.1, it's dead. So it is, but there's no decision. That you made the decision already by not doing anything about it along the way. PayPal, somebody's got profits. They're up 50% on the calls. Is it okay to do a spread? Yes, I already talked about that. If I own a call and I got a rally, and suddenly now I can sell a call way above it and collect more than what I paid, yeah, of course, awesome. Let's see here, what expiration dates? Choose those indices. Okay, we already talked about that, expiration dates. Oh, somebody said, are we in a bear market? What is that? I don't know what you mean by are we in a bear market. To me, a bear market is a market that is deflating, where the economy is actually bearish, and it's never been healthier. That's why the Fed is acting. Is this bearish price action short term? Yes. Long term? No. What do I mean by that? Okay. Here's the SPY. Here's 1 week. And turn off all the charts. This is not a bearish chart. It goes from here to here. Short term, the bears are having a good time. Long term, not. Okay, so where do you draw the line? This is definitely not a bearish chart. This is a bearish short-term price action, but it's still going sideways. If you go to 2 hours, this is a bearish chart. So are we in the bear market? I don't know what that means. Short term, we have had the bears in charge. Shorter term, we are in a very bullish market. We just had a 7% rally. This is not a bearish market. So depends on your time frame. Somebody says, love you. Aw, shucks, I love you too. Okay, understand the delta kind of odds maker. Better put up counter example. All right, so extremely high delta. Anyway, somebody wants to buy an extremely high delta. Extremely high delta means if you're buying it, you're putting yourself at a disadvantage on purpose. I did it with Zoom, but not extremely high. Oh, I see what you mean. Okay, so since the delta is the odds maker, I see what you mean. So they used Apple as an example. Okay, so they said, would it pay to, since having a delta is having good odds, a high delta, why wouldn't I buy an extremely high delta? Because you lose the option oomph. So extremely high delta is 1, right, or 0.9, which means if I buy a delta that's extremely high, that means I'm buying a call that's already in the money. This is Apple. Apple's 160. That means that you're buying like in the 150s. Well, yes, it would hold its value best. But on good days, it would win the least fast. So if I buy a delta here, it would win much faster than the one down here. On bad days, it would lose a little bit faster than this one, so this would be better. But if you're trying to be conservative, usually that behavior of buying a very high delta, a low call in the money, is for leaps, because then it's almost like buying shares but not putting out so much capital. You know, there's a fine line there. Okay, where do I direct message to credit put spread? Ram, if you're on the Benzinga side, just reach out to me in the chat room over there. I'll chat with you there. I'll teach you how to reach me there. Okay, all right, we have a few tickers that just came in. I thought for sure we had more tickers. What happened here? Oh, okay, yeah, we do. In the list here, I thought I put Lucid. I may not have put it in the list here. Last minute entry was Lucid. Here's Lucid. I think you have resistance. You have a gap, but you have resistance. Just know that. Buy the dip better. And it's a trading stock that doesn't have a lot of good fundamentals, I'm afraid. I did MLN. I did that. You're just going to have to scroll back. MULN. It's on the list. I'm confident. Because I remember a ticker like this. It's right there. Anyways, XBI, I already did Labu. Labu and XBI are identical. Here's XBI. I like it for the long term, but you need to hold the support, of course. You have resistance. You're trying to go sideways. I don't think they lose this base, so I'm long Labu. I would stay long XBI. If I wanted to sell a credit put spread in XBI, I can do that. In fact, I may have shared it recently too. Anyway, XBI, XLK, everything I said by AMD and Nvidia applies here. They're going into a very sharp failure. They should fail and then pop up and go to 160, rinse and repeat. They may go straight to 160. I'm not sure. I wouldn't short it. Yeah. Everything we drew about it went through. Good base. Maybe sell a put spread instead of chasing all upside. Okay. So now all the requests are coming in. Hopefully you're just brand new people. Like I know Broke Boy. Okay. Dollar Tree. Not an obvious place of entry. I don't know if you're asking me to short it. You can if you want to, but why? This is just up in the sky. Are you investing or trading? If you're trading, you need to be in the live trading room. We discuss it. This is not for me. If you force me, I would buy a put or put spread in it. Okay. Okay, Ram, give me a minute. I'm still the. Thanks for reaching out in the chat room. So, okay. Shopify. Did I not do Shopify? I'm surprised nobody asked for Shopify. Maybe I have. Okay. Tough stock to short. Tough stock to be long. I don't trade it because the premiums are wonky. It's going into a prior fail. That's not reasons to short it. You're either trading it actively or you're investing it on big dips. So if you bought the dip into 558, you're sitting on massive amounts of profits. Lock some and leave the rest to run. If the markets recover, like I think they will, this one will make you great profits. There's no reason to short it fundamentally. This company is the closest thing to Amazon that we have right now. Let's say it fades and then it takes out 720. 720 is a trigger to fill the gap. Trust me on that one. If you take out this 720 gap fill question mark with R at, there's one line I couldn't see it. Ugh, I still can't see it. Trading View, you're driving me crazy. 748. Oh, that doesn't make sense. Okay. I know there's R's. So this trigger gets you to 850, not 750, with 750 resistance. That's what it is. R752-ish. So I put an alert to wake me up on Shopify. Tell me it could go to here, but there's a lot of resistance in between. That's what I'm saying. So if I'm long, I stay long. All right, so Twilio, okay. Capri. Last two, okay. I need to wrap this up. CPRI. That's pretty whacked out. I don't know what to make of this. This is a lot of dropping, and it's about halfway up. So you have to do homework as to why this fell. You know you may have support here. You have resistance up here. Stuck in the middle. Twilio, my comments on Twilio are just like Shopify. On its own, it should recover a lot higher. You have to respect the bears that have been selling rallies. This is a rally, and look at it. It unfolded almost, wow, almost exactly. If you're new here, we do this often. Check out the price action versus the arrows. These are drawn ahead of time. They're drawn ahead of time. So delivered, right? And now it's into prior fails, which it will follow the markets. And more importantly, you see how these lines are now below it? This tells me that the bear is going to not realize that the code may have flipped in machines short term to buy dips. So I would think if it falls to 150, it's a buy the dip opportunity to come back and take this out and bust down. So if it fails to 150 this week, don't get long for an opportunity to trade it. And that's how you build an ascending channel, one cup like this at a time. So what you want to see is this. Buy the dip versus, you know, every rally they get sold. Good company, expensive but good company, fast moving. All right, you're asking what chat room do we hang out? I have a live session like this one going on all day every day. you have your chat room where you and I signed up, where you just signed up today. You can sit there all day. There's probably about 150 people there as well at any point in time. 220 people to 260 people in the live chat, 150 people all there. You pick wherever you want to be. Do I have a video link to TradingView? No, I do not. But you ask me, I'll answer. And I'm not liking TradingView anymore. I'm testing this one right now. Wealth charts. It's like a blend between TradingView and this, which is TradyTix. It's pretty snappy. I like it because you have all kinds of research in it as well, and it's customizable. Market tools. It's pretty. I'm not an expert at it, but what I've seen from it, it's pretty cool. They have trading videos, and the back of the house, like this is stuff I don't know, and it dumbs things down. For example, if you're looking for what are fund managers doing, this is the insider fund manager accumulation of data. So it looks through short interest and buybacks and all of this, and it compiles everything into one number, and they assign it a number, and you can filter. Say, show me this and show me that. It's Wealth Scanner, for example, I think. All right, so Wealth Scanner, you look at fundamental, hold on, fundamentals, options. All right, it looks, you can say, whatever is showing up, bullish or bearish, wash it against the options data. Wash it against, they have Wealth Finder and Wealth Strength Indicator, both of which are filters to look through who's getting punches, like who's getting insider options. It's like option flow on that TradyTix thing, and big money flow. So you have those two things to wash against this own filter. So if you find something that has all three working for it, it's like gold, right? So I'm trying to mess around with it. I like it so far, and the charts are pretty good. Let me show you. You can kind of link your charts like Think or Swim. Like this is one ticker, multiple time frame, and you can have charts laying in the background or stuff laying in the background. Like this is unusual options activity just sitting right there, and I can just tap, and I can move this from here to here. I can move it to here. It's freaking phenomenal. Actually, if you think about it, it's just pretty crazy. And you can link them. Like you can say this one is linked to pink charts. So if I say this one's also pink, and I go here and I click on box, and I can unlink it. It's pretty good. Anyway, commercial over. How do we get discount on TradyTix? Yeah, I have a link for that. Let me see. It might be here. TradyTix, this one. If you're interested, not that I'm pushing it, but it is a useful tool. We've used it live. This gets you 10%. The company is pretty good and pretty responsive. All right, I'm going to stop recording. Thank you for watching at home.